Weird Magnificent Diatribes presents...
The movie starts with a dramatic scene where the king, Jack Black, playing Nacho Libre, playing Richard II, sitting on his throne in judgment of a dashing, handsome blacksmith, Dean Cain, and his younger and equally dashing brother, also Dean Cain, over something. The king decides that the younger brother of the blacksmith must die. Blacksmith Dean Cain screams and cries dramatically while the executioner, Gary Busey, uses his magical axe to behead his younger brother.
It's not Nolte, it's Busey, you idiot.
And despite being headless, young Dean Cain still maintains his impeccable winning smile. The prologue, of course, has nothing to do with the rest of the story, but it is a really cool segment and provides an opportunity for Dean Cain to expand his dramatic range. Fast forward in time, a young virgin, Scarlett Johansson, lives with her evil stepmother, Salma Hayek. Despite being in her mid-30s, the virgin ScarJo remains chaste. When her father died, he left the estate under the guardianship of his second wife, the stepmother, including all of his exclusive land holdings. This guardianship extends until either the evil stepmother dies or the virgin marries. And seeing that we are calling the main romantic lead a virgin, the latter condition obviously hasn't happened yet. Virgin ScarJo remains unmarried as she has been in love with the local and devilishly handsome blacksmith, Dean Cain. This is the very same blacksmith whose younger brother was beheaded by the king, Ricardo Libre II, many years back. Except now he's in his 50s and remains unmarried because he wants to keep his options open.
Simple.
And despite being slightly over the hill, he is still a handsome leading man, blacksmith. Unbeknownst to the future lovebirds is that a secret desire for the blacksmith Dean Cain is held by the stepmother. The stepmother constantly consults with her magic mirror, also played by Dean Cain, on ways that she can get rid of her stepdaughter so she can have blacksmith Dean Cain all to herself. Because the magic mirror is inhabited by the spirit of the younger brother of the blacksmith Dean Cain, her plans are cunningly thwarted by the advice the mirror provides. This is mainly to ensure that Dean Cain gets a higher percentage of the movie's proceeds at the box office because he occupies multiple roles. While the stepmother is in love with blacksmith Dean Cain, the local sheriff, Danny Trejo, is also secretly in love with the evil stepmother. Because of this, he harasses blacksmith Dean Cain on a daily basis and threatens to do something about his excessive hammering in his shop.
Back in Tijuana, we kidnap you, put you in a oil drum. The ransom's not paid. We light you on fire.
In the midst of this love triangle, the king decides to go for a stroll one day. Wandering the lands of Virgin ScarJo and her stepmother Hayek, the king trips over a stone in the grass and falls to the ground. As he recovers, while wondering who might end up beheaded for this outrage, he takes a closer look at the stone. It's mithril. Looking closer at the ground and some of the nearby rock formations, the king discovered there is a huge amount of magical metal that can be mined from this location. Realizing the vast wealth he could accumulate, he immediately looks for a way to seize control of the land. Consulting with his counselors, he discovers that outside of beheading, marriage to the landowner is a means by which he can gain access to the vast quantities of mithril he knows exists on the estate. What mithril actually does, no one really knows. There are no elves in the story, and even if there were elves, they don't get ill and they never die by natural causes, so it's not really sure what the mithril is used for. But what is known is that it is very, 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 very rare and expensive for some reason. Moving on. After musing about another beheading, King Ricardo Libre II decides it's easier to marry the Virgin ScarJo. He then sends a letter to the evil stepmother Hayek, demanding the hand of the Virgin ScarJo in marriage. Stepmother Hayek receives the letter, reads it, and realizes that if Virgin ScarJo marries a King Libre II, she loses everything.
No.
But if Virgin ScarJo dies, she inherits the land, making her an attractive prospect to be the next queen. Virgin ScarJo discovers stepmother Hayek's plans and flees to go find blacksmith Dean Cain. In response, stepmother Hayek casts a spell on the Virgin ScarJo's favorite teddy bear, turning it into a winged monster, which she then dispatches to kill Virgin ScarJo. With a winged teddy bear hot on her heels, Virgin ScarJo finds blacksmith Dean Cain at the town oiling his mighty pecs. Mid-oily rub-down, the killer teddy bear swoops in to attack. As blacksmith Dean Cain and the teddy bear fight, the Virgin ScarJo is actually knocked into a well. She falls and lands at the bottom of the well, which is completely absent any and all water for some reason. And for the same strange reason, Virgin ScarJo doesn't die in impact, break her neck, or shatter a limb to the point where the broken bones project from her flesh. In fact, she doesn't even bruise. She merely goes unconscious, but not a really bad unconscious like a coma or something. She's unconscious in a way that she can be discovered by whatever lives at the bottom of this well. That's not really a well, but more like a convenient hole where people fall in and collected by whatever lives at the bottom. In fact, the well itself was a place where virgins were usually sacrificed for no specific reason. The townfolk would select a virgin at random and throw them in. When the king took over the region, he ended the practice, though by that time, none of the townsfolk remember why the place was the site of a virgin sacrifice. In fact, there is some debate afterwards as to why the well was actually called a well, because it wasn't really a well at all. As blacksmith Dean Cain fights the killer teddy bear, a large bulbous figure that knows Aikido grabs a virgin and drags her further into the well. As he approaches a cavern further in, 7 small figures crowd around the virgin and look at her in wonder. While short, they are also very feminine and seem to consume a lot of soy. Seeing the unconscious form of Virgin ScarJo, they immediately fall in love with her to the point where they are willing to give up vast sums of money to her just so she can say their name online during an OnlyFans livestream. They are cue dramatic music. The 7 Simps. and their tall, bulging leader is Stephen Smeagol. Normally, the simps and their leader, being cannibals by nature, would have consumed the virgin as they had consumed many such virgins in the past. However, because they are so enamored with this particular virgin, and because it moves the plot forward, they decide not to eat her. Instead, they do as they were born to do. Simp. They simp long, they simp hard. They simp like they never simped before. After defeating the killer teddy bear, blacksmith Dean Cain jumps into the well to save Virgin ScarJo. Remarkably, he does so without breaking his neck or shattering his legs, making Virgin ScarJo and blacksmith Dean Cain unique physical specimens, or mutants. We're really not sure. Following the distinctly virgin-esque drag marks, he tracks down Stephen Smeagol and the 7 simps. Blacksmith Dean Cain challenges Stephen Smeagol for control of the simps, a challenge which is accepted. And as the two square off, the camera pans back to reveal that Stephen Smeagol is only 3 feet tall. He does, however, remain quite bulbous. The fight is long and hard. Actually, not really. With Blacksmith Dean Cain being victorious. Soon after, Blacksmith Dean Cain and Virgin ScarJo discover that the queen is being married to the king via an unspecified means of notification. Having an army of 7 ninja simps, all who know Aikido, Blacksmith Dean Cain and Virgin ScarJo leave the well somehow, as if there were a means to get to the bottom of the well easily. There would be no need for Blacksmith Dean Cain to jump down to the well in the first place. And they make to the castle to disrupt the ceremony. Meanwhile, back at the castle, Stepmother Hayek is thinking she's the rightful owner of Virgin ScarJo's estate and woos King Ricardo Libre II. King Ricardo Libre II, wanting both the mithril and the gratuitous wooing, consents to the marriage. In a span of time that lasts a few hours, as it is a whirlwind wooing, King Ricardo Libre II and Stepmother Hayek get married. At once, King Ricardo Libre starts making plans to mine the mithril. Sheriff Trejo tries his best to dissuade his one true love, Stepmother Hayek, from marrying the King Ricardo Libre II. He attempts to fail miserably, and he scowls, and that's what Danny Trejo does best, scowl, and act menacing. Midway through making his plans, the alarm bell goes off as the simp army attacks. Men in armor, wielding swords and crossbow, rush to the battlements to stop the onslaught and protect their liege. The battle is furious. Men cry out in fear, some fleeing the walls as the cannibal simps rush the battlements and press forward to the keep. Actually, not really. The simps get arrested by the king's much larger army and are thrown into the dungeon, which is a bit of an upgrade for them as they've been living at the bottom of a well that wasn't really a well, with Stephen Smeagol who ate all of their food. How else would they become cannibal simps in the first place? Fast forward to the gallows, where Blacksmith Dean Cain and the Virgin ScarJo are set to be executed by the notorious Executioner Busey and his magic decapitating axe. Executioner Busey taunts Virgin ScarJo before taking her head. And because he's Gary Busey, because that's what Gary Busey does best, taunt and laugh. Merciless laughing and taunting, followed by more laughing.
Have you ever been hit in the face with a bunch of cookies?
This gives Blacksmith Dean Cain time to slip his bonds using the oil that coated his pecs, which was a convenient, if not useful, plot device. Seeing an opportunity to perhaps get his true love's favor, Sheriff Trejo hands Blacksmith Dean Cain a knife that Blacksmith Dean Cain throws at Executioner Busey. While the knife does not kill Executioner Busey, as the only person who can kill Gary Busey is Gary Busey, it does ruin his aim. Executioner Busey's magic axe misses by a hair. Actually, it misses by many hairs, shaving one side of Virgin ScarJo's head. The result? A sudden hair loss that triggers a latent gene in her chromosomal makeup, the result of which is that the remainder of her hair turns bright blue. Virgin ScarJo has a sudden urge to glue herself to a painting and scream obscenities at someone named Trump. With the execution easily and inexplicably foiled, the king relents and gives up his plans for the mine. Blacksmith Dean Cain and Virgin ScarJo get married, Stepmother Hayek and the sheriff get married, the king joins the simps, and the only one to have a happy ending is Gary Busey, because he's Gary Busey.